Yo, what is good, lad? What is good, yo? Fire Force. Um, I feel like this episode didn't have much going on until you kind of just really start to think about all the implications it kind of had with teaching us a lesson of, what someone with an honest heart and maybe kind of like a rough way of doing things, but nonetheless seems like he's all about taking out these infernos and having nothing to do with them, though. It's almost a case of, oh, we can definitely trust this guy because he has the same kind of goal that we do, and the goal of taking these things out, or like stopping people from not only dealing with it and becoming one, but maybe being able to help the population of it happening more go down, because we learn quickly that there's an organization that's, influencing more of this combustion or these infernos than natural it naturally happening, like we saw with oh boy's good friend, straight up dying, because, or not dying, but transforming while reading a book. It's not like we could see any of the bugs going and attacking him, which would be kind of interesting if the only time you ever turned was because of those insects. Wow. He literally sent in his guy to push me, hurt me, and then he did the special. That was dirty. Um, but I like the idea to think that there's a real reason why people are just turning into infernos naturally, and then we got these people out here that are literally trying to do it forcefully. They're trying to force upon any of that type of you know uh, influence, or just that way of having them much closer to becoming, closer to their goals of making whatever the case may be, right? Like, to be fair, I feel like you never really know what's going on in these shows until they literally just kind of write it out for you, right? When they finally just lay it on the table. And we kind of gotten that with the two different groups that are out there, that one wants to burn the world, have everybody catch on fire, and turn the world into a sun, or like a star, a burning star. Or these other people who want to control all of the certain, excuse me, all of the certain flames and the powers that are much more unique and different than just being a first, second, or third generation pyronetic. You are now looking at someone who's not only a third generation, but this third generation that it's created amongst him is much stronger than any other third generation, or you know what I mean, like that, because of what the power is itself. So to know that there's powers out there like that, that goes to show you kind of that there's gonna be probably a big fight in the case of big powers going against big powers. Like, we have all these people who kind of can't hold a candle up to their flames and their power that they have, accumulated over all this time. So that's kind of my take on this, is if they do find this power, were they going to forcibly take it away from our main character, right? Like, if he was ever caught and they were about to try to take him out, are they just, bodying him? Are they just taking their time to eject, like, or, to take out this power from him? Or is it more of the lines of they can't remove the power, and since it's already inside of a vessel, they can kind of just leave it be and make sure that this person from now on doesn't interrupt anything that they do, right? You have someone with this much power, you capture him and put him in a prison cell that he can't, either like use his powers, or he's just useless in there. and then what happens? You know, like you're in a pretty good position to not worry about anyone having the power to stop you if you already own another one who's actually helping, right? Because at this point it feels like the only time we're going to see anyone like pose a threat to our main character is someone like this unique guy that we just meet in this week's episode, with him throwing he has like these broom. He pretty much looked like a witch in this episode, which was kind of funny, because he kind of gives off the witch type of stigma as well. So the way he fights, the way that his character's designed, with how like he's using these ability and his villagers are helping him do so, it really just for some reason felt really right to me. Not only did he he find out who it was that turned into Inferno, and he kind of gave him like a peace of mind in the sense, like not the person he bodies, right, but him himself gives himself a peace of mind by thinking like, man, that guy just wanted to have a drink with me, and this is unfortunate, that this is now it's him that's the one that I gotta pretty much go out there and defeat, and make sure that no one else loses their life thanks to him. Which it seemed like he was staying put pretty well, which if you see everything this guy does this week's episode of throwing all these brooms and destroying all these buildings and stuff, we the audience definitely are the main character in that situation. We're like, oh my god, all those buildings, like, was that necessary, my guy? Like that's got to be everybody, and our main character played that role perfectly. I had more HP, what do you mean, man? So I like that aspect, that I kind of felt that way too. I was like, he's destroying all this stuff, and all you have to do is send in the 8th unit, and they would have maybe burned down maybe a street or something. But to hear from the old woman, to hear like why this was okay, or like why it's happening, really definitely looked like it hit home with our main character, and how he sees certain people that use their power the way he wants to use it. In the case of saving and showing up, I mean, as soon as this pops off, who's the first one in action and the first one there and does anything, right? It's him. And this is why he's already owns the title of, like he's the strongest one of the fire units and stuff like that. But not only that, they do give a really good creative reasoning why he has these weird eyes, like one's an X and one's an O. And for some reason, it's because he's a 2nd generation and a 3rd generation. So it might even have something to do with those weird girls that we saw within his house, right? Like they seemed very very weird. And if you've seen Soul Eater, there's 2 characters that they really reminded me of, or that could have been inspired to be like, and there was this black guy in Soul Eater that he worked with 2 people. One was a bald guy named Ox, and the other girl who had like this lantern, or like some like it was like a lamp kind of but whatever the case was, the guy that I'm talking about, the black guy, had these 2 girls that were his weapons, and they were twins. And whatever one would say, the other would be kind of like the opposite. Not fully like saying stuff, but in the case of one was fire and one was thunder, right? Like they're definitely compelling elements, right? But together they made ridiculous power. And it would be interesting to see if a character like that winds up in this show, where he created those types of characters already. And if he would bring something like that in, where these twins actually have a bigger purpose than just being, as weird as they were this week, talking about a granny who should die and a granny who works very hard at the same time. But one was being polite, while the other one was literally telling the granny to practically die. Like, it's really interesting, but overall, what does it mean? Like, is there any real purpose behind it? And if there is, what is that purpose? So I would love to see what you guys are thinking about all this. I am your boy, the Anime G, and I will definitely be dropping more stuff soon. So keep your ears and eyes out for that. Some Dr. Stone and Accelerator coming relatively soon. So with all that being said, take care and peace.